ठीक है ना? Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see so many of you on time. So, if you could just rename yourselves by your name, and if you're working currently, if you're employed, with your organization's name, that would be great. You can join back in another 20 minutes if you just want to take a break. We'll start sharp at 7:30. This is just the buffer time.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. Uh, Welcome everyone to this webinar. The webinar is titled "Understanding Specializations in Public Policy." Uh, Today, we have with us two of our specialists who will be guiding us through the webinar. Can I please request the next slide, please? So we have today with us Kumar Subhamji. Kumar Subhamji is currently serving as the founder as well as the CEO of India House. He has a decade-long experience in the social impact sector, and he is an IIT Delhi alumni. We also have with us Aswathi Prakash ji. Aswathi Prakash ji is a master's in public policy. She is currently running the public policy programs at India House, and her designation currently is senior associate India House. Can I please request the next slide, please? So before starting with our webinar, I'll kindly request all of you to kindly rename yourself using your actual names instead of device names. If it is possible, I would also want all of you to kindly mention your organization name along with your name so that we will be able to know who all are joining us today. Uh, the other thing is, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we will be whichever could be answered via chat, we will be answering that, and whichever could be answered via the webinar, we will also be doing that. Also, at the end of the session, we will have a Q&A, and all of your queries will surely be taken in and will be answered for sure. So we hope that you will have a wonderful session ahead. Now giving the mic to Kumar Subhamji and Aswathi to take forward the webinar. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, all of you. Thank you, Devendra, for introducing us, and thank you all for joining us. Happy Independence Day to all of you. Very important milestone in the journey of a few thousand years that India has seen. Uh, the power of real freedom, the power to really feel free, is an amazing power and amazing emotion to have. The idea that you can, some ways, control the fate of your nation and your own life. But Mahatma Gandhi said, as his idea of independence was Swaraj, in which he mentioned each person having that power to define their own fate, control some part of their life on their own. One of the biggest tools to do that is public policy for us. That's why in Mahabharata, when they begin the entire, when Bhagavad Gita begins, one of the first shlokas include that the sum total of all knowledge is governance. When you combine every knowledge, be it what you do in daily life, be it science, be it technology, be it the art of politicking, be it the art of economics, be it the art of understanding nature, be it the time of natural resources, be it the art of managing people, be it management, be it law, every single domain of knowledge. When you combine that, that is public policy. And that's what we are here to talk about today. So, welcome all again, and a happy Independence Day to all of you. The chat is open for all of you. We can all freely use chat. Our team is monitoring the chat. We personally are, me and Aswathi both would be monitoring the chat. So, feel free to put in any question that you may have on this chat. We would ensure that before the call ends today, which is 90 minutes from now, we would respond to each and every single query. If you give 100 queries, we will respond to it. If you give 200 queries, we'll respond to it. That's a commitment we are making at the beginning of this call. And welcome all. And we will just quickly jump into the right topic. The last webinar that we did was on specializations in public policy. And if you want to go back and revise that, that is just available on the same YouTube channel you are in right now. For any one of you who needs access to it, please do mail us and we will provide you the YouTube link. If you search Policy Pioneers India House on YouTube, you will find that as the YouTube link. Do check it out for careers in public policy webinar. This particular webinar has a very specific topic. It's called Specializations in Public Policy. And as the name suggests, it is a broad idea about whether do we need to be a specialist in public policy or do I need to be a generalist in public policy? What is the better way to look at the entire question? Uh, there is a question already by Subhas, and I will be responding to you, Subhas, very soon. There is a chat response as well, and I would be adding to it from what is already mentioned in the chat. If you are in the waiting room, please do join the YouTube link. We are also live on YouTube. If any of your friends are unable to join, do join in the YouTube link. We'll now quickly begin to the rest of the main crux of the today's webinar, which is specializations in public policy. So we'll request the next slide. Uh, on a very broad level, specializations are what public policy came by. We had somebody who was very interested in education, let's say the first education minister of India, who was really interested in education, and he tried to bring in some changes to the way India educates itself. And he was a specialist who jumped into public policy and started making policies for policy. B.R. Ambedkar ji was a specialist in law, and that's how he was able to define the whole fulcrum of public policy right now. Everybody whom we know as a policymaker right now started their journey as a specialist. Uh, there are also hundreds and thousands of others whom we know as generalists who also lead public policy. Our current prime minister is one of them. He was a generalist. He was not a specialist in one domain, but he was a generalist in knowing how public policy works, as he was the chief minister, one of the longest serving chief ministers of his native state, which is Gujarat. Very broadly, in terms of knowledge, a specialist is somebody who knows one domain very well, and a generalist knows a lot of domains. That is depth versus breadth. A specialist is deep in knowledge in one domain, and a generalist is very wide in knowledge in all a lot of domains. In terms of skills, a specialist brings in very specific domain skills. If you're working in health, you will have a domain skill of health. You will understand data, you will understand research, you will understand what all goes in the field of healthcare that is useful when you make policies as a skill. Similarly, if you're a generalist, you would know broad skills of public policy, like the stakeholder engagement or project management, or how cross-domain policy analysis works. In terms of impact style, also, a specialist makes a deep impact. What happened in COVID and what was the work of the health ministry at that time was a mix of both of these, and we will see that example ahead as well. In terms of very basic level, if you are, let's say, working in the field of finance, a trader is a generalist. Somebody who understands inflation and understands how RBI should function is a generalist. If you understand the broad contours of a domain, that's a generalist. If you understand why those contours are in that way, that's a specialist. Anybody who wants to go deep and has a domain in mind. So I have worked so long as a teacher in a domain. I want to really influence education system. You must become an education policy expert. If you are broadly looking at problem solving as a key action, if you're interested in working with people who are working in this, then you are best as a generalist. That's a broad differentiation between the two topics. And for the next 20 minutes odd, what we would do is we'll go about these broad domains itself. We will start with the idea of skills and attributes needed in this domain. We'll talk about what kind of career prospects exist both as specialists and generalists. We will try to do our own self-assessment on where we may fit in. We would also quickly figure out what it may look like when we are working as a specialist or a generalist in either climate, health, or education. This itself will take around 20 to 25 minutes. Post that, we will also talk about how each of the specializations at Policy Pioneers program may look like. What are the tools that we are teaching? What are the skills we are teaching? What is the knowledge that we are teaching? Once we've done that, we'll also introduce to the faculty how the program will flow, how the hands-on project will flow, and leaving out ample time for the Q&A. And we'll just shoot in right to the beginning. Over to you, Aswathi, to take us through what kind of skills and attributes are needed when you talk about generalist and specialist.
Thank you, Kumar. So what we've done is we've broadly mapped what in each, if you want to be a specialist, if you want to be a generalist, and if you are a policy person in a non-policy domain and a non-policy person in a policy domain. So this is broadly how we have divided it. And under 4 heads, which is knowledge, which is your skills, your mindset, and your temperament. So when it comes to knowledge, the primary thing that a specialist will require is subject matter expertise. So if you are in climate, you need to know in depth, just like Kumarji said, it's a matter of breadth and depth. You will need to know governance architecture in that domain very specifically. Whereas when you are a generalist, in a lot of ways, your responsibility is slightly higher because you need to know the governance architecture across all the areas that you're working with. And you also need to have a broad understanding of domains and how these domains intersect. You need to have technical and scientific underpinnings of your domain if you want to be a specialist. But you need to also have a broad understanding of current trends if you want to be a generalist. If you come to the non-policy or policy role in different ecosystems, what is more important is the implementation knowledge. How does it look like at the ground? So these are your teachers, these are your doctors. And you should also have knowledge of relevant policies and regulations that affect how you teach, how you run your school, or how you run your practice, for that matter. When it comes to technical and cognitive skills, I think this is quite a no-brainer. You need to have advanced data analysis and research methods. So each of the domains that we speak about have certain things that are specific to them. Say, for example, if you want to be if you want to be in climate policy and you want to specialize in climate, you would need to know how climate modeling is done. How can you use different models to predict, understand trends, and all of that? The same case with health and education as well. You would also need to know how to contextualize policy challenges, or when you look at best practices from different countries, how do you contextualize it for India or the place that you are in? Whereas a generalist, the job of a generalist is more to look from a zoomed out perspective, looking at alternative ways to look at the same thing. While a specialist will have to anticipate risks and opportunities in their domain, the job of a generalist is more to frame problems in such a way as to how it intersects across different sectors and what would be the trade-offs in each cases. When you come to the non-policy or policy roles in the ecosystem, what is more important is the operational and execution skills. How good is your program management? How well are you able to manage your stakeholders in your specific context? How well are you able to translate different policies into how it will affect your business, your NGO, your organization, or your practice? When it comes to mindset, a specialist would require depth, because of which you need to have the grit to go in depth into a subject. So you need to be detail oriented, you need to be patient, you need to be disciplined. Consistency is key. You also need to know how to engage with stakeholders in your ecosystem, different groups, what are relevant organizations to your domain. And you also need to be very actively networking with subject experts globally, because that is where you're building your knowledge. When it comes to generalist, the importance, because it is breadth, you need to be a quick learner. You need to be curious. You need to also be adaptable. And what that also means is you need to be able to build coalitions across sectors. When it comes to policy or non-policy roles in the ecosystem, the focus is more on being persuasive, being seeing an opportunity and being able to grab it, being able to be persistent and see a deal through. Here, the focus is more on service delivery and how do you come up with different ways to do the same thing. In the end, you are a best fit to be a specialist if you have a clear passion for a cause or sector. There's something that's very close to your heart, and you see yourself working in it for decades. You're also willing to spend consistent amount of time in the domain to be an authority in the domain. And you also need to be very comfortable going into the technicalities of the domain. Whereas when it comes to generalist, the idea or the requirement is that you should be somebody who enjoys connecting dots. There's this map where you can see. So these are your generalists. They thrive in variety. They are very adaptable. They're very curious about everything around them. When it comes to policy and non-policy roles, the idea is these should be people who enjoy the hands-on work, who can go to the ground and see things to end. These are also people who prefer to stay out in a lot of ways from the negotiations, hardcore policy, and just likes to look at it and align it to whatever area they are in. If it's an organization, to their organizational goals, if it's their practice, to what they want to do in their practice, so on and so forth.
So broadly, what Aswathi has been mentioning about is that if you are if you believe that there is one domain in which there needs to be more action, specialization might be better for you. If you believe you want to just have one leg in policy and have one leg outside the door also in other domains, probably the third one is better. And the specialist role, especially for generalist role, especially for people who want to be fully in policy but are not clear in the domain. You might have one foot in the door, you might be fully inside and go deep into it, or you might be just skin dip and be okay with it. That's the differentiation between the three roles. Yes, Aswathi, please continue.
Thank you, Kumarji. And then comes your entrepreneurs, policy entrepreneurs, with Kumarji himself is one. So these are your people who need to have a little bit of everything. If their startup is going to specialize in a domain, they need to be a specialist. If they want to go across, work across sectors, they would be a generalist, so on and so forth. So while we were coming up with our Policy Pioneers program, one of the first things that we sat down and literally brainstormed over is, what would a policy pioneer walk out with when people see a policy pioneer? Oh, this is somebody who's gone through India House's Policy Pioneers program. What are some things that we want to be a non-negotiable? What are some things that we want them to know? These people are definitely going to have it. So we made a list of that. In terms of knowledge, be it general policy governance or the domain knowledge, there should be people who understand how the policy has evolved in their particular domain. These are people who should be very clear about how the power flows in their domain or in policy in general, in around them. How does the governance happen? How is accountability run in this particular domain? What is the Indic perspective, or what are indigenous perspective to their domain in general? And what are the current trends that are happening? When it comes to skills, we divided them into technical and cognitive. Technical, definitely, these should be people who know how to do policy research and people who can do data analysis, at least the basic level of it. On cognitive part of it, we wanted them to be able to not just comprehend policy and its different dimensions, but also be able to contextualize everything that they're seeing to the Indian context. So this would make it easier for them to identify best practices and see how it can well fit into what we require as a country. We also wanted them to be good communicators, good policy communicators. So this includes your articles, it includes your policy briefs. This also includes pitching to a minister, pitching to a principal secretary. How do they do it in the most efficient way as possible? Another two things that we wanted was definitely system thinking. They should be able to look at what the challenge in front of them from a systemic lens, from a zoomed out lens. We also wanted them to be able to come up with alternate solutions, probably non-conventional solutions that might actually work. So we wanted our policy pioneers to go into the field with an attitude of abundance and not one of lack. In terms of mindset, a couple of things that we wanted to be a non-negotiable is seva bhav. Definitely, the very loosely non-justifying English translation is service-oriented mindset. So these should be people who, at least to some extent, want to serve. For somebody for whom giving back to the society is a huge part of who they are, or a huge part of what they see their work to be. Commitment to nation building, committing to the nation's growth in all dimensions as possible. So that could be building leaders, that could be furthering knowledge in a certain way, that could be coming out with enterprises that would do the same. We also wanted them to be disciplined and perseverant. One of the reasons that we put this in is also because policy is not a very easy field. It is you see changes very gradually. So if you're somebody who's going to be here for 3 to 5 years, you are not going to see the fruits of your effort. So this will require you to be disciplined and committed to the journey, because probably what you're working on, you'd see the result of it 10 years down the lane. And you also need to be perseverant, because just like I said, policy is not an easy field. Sometimes you would have put everything into the project that you're doing. You'd have put everything into the cause that you care about. But things are just simply not happening. You are hitting roadblocks every part of the way. There, what becomes important is that you can persevere. You can go. Every time you fall back, you can get up and go at it. Optimism for change and empathy. Something that we were very clear about. In fact, this is something that we've been very particular when we were doing the interviews for Policy Pioneers as well. We want people who are optimistic about change in the system. We don't want people who think change is not possible. And optimism for change will only come from empathy. Empathy for the system, empathy for people in the system, empathy for people who are outside the system who's trying to influence the system. So we want people who believe that change is possible and who are willing to work for it. The last, definitely courage, because I said you need discipline, you need perseverance, but you also need courage. Because a lot of times you are standing up to authority. A lot of times, sometimes you are the authority. So courage becomes a very important part of pushing the needle forward. Externally, we want our policy pioneers to be good at engaging stakeholders, managing them, communicating them in a language that they can understand and relate to, and whatever is required to meet the end. And somebody who can network well, because for those of you in the call who are already in the policy field, know very well how important networking plays in being in the field and getting things done. It is in a lot of times who you know and who know about you. So these are a couple of things that we want our policy pioneers to walk out with. These are a couple of things that we want people to associate with a policy pioneer when they see one. Kumarji, anything to add here?
No. So just taking over from Aswathi, this was the first thing that we did when we were designing Policy Pioneers program, when we began designing Policy Pioneers program last year, around 10 plus months back. That's when we started thinking about what is needed for somebody to actually be pioneer in policy. You see, India at this point of time has approximately 10,000 people who are working in policy in our age bracket. This is the age bracket of people who are less than 45 years of age, people who are not a bureaucrat in the country and working for public policy, who are not a politician, not a bureaucrat, and are working for public policy. 10,000 of a nation of 140 crore is a very, very small number. It's a very small field. In this field, all of us would be pioneers if we really wish to work on it and if we really devote our best selves to it. These are the attributes that we need to have. And these are exactly the skills which we will need to build once we decide to do about it. In the next slide, we'll quickly talk about the career paths that we have in this domain. Uh, in different domains, a specialist performs a different role and a generalist performs a different role. If you're working in the ministry, you can be a specialist as well as a generalist. However, there are organizations which only look for generalists as well, especially at entry level roles, be it Invest India, be it QCI, young professionals, be it some think tanks, be it some part of the state planning departments. They are very comfortable in generalists because they understand the policy architecture of states and they're able to work across departments. Some roles require you to be a specialist. You need to be a specialist in environment if you want to work in dairy. You need to be a specialist in economics if you want to work in bookings. Similarly, there are non-policy roles which also require policy people. Non-policy organizations which also require policy people. And we have some examples here. In the next slide, what we will quickly do is we will try to see some cases, some examples where we have actually developed this further. Next slide, please. For example, if we are somebody who is working in climate, you could work in the climate. And if you're a specialist, you could model how renewable energy adoption scenarios can be done. For example, you all of us are aware India is pushing for renewable energy and the world is pushing for renewable energy. What could be various scenarios of adoption of climate, of renewable energy across industries? Could be one modeling. And what is the technical feasibility for India to meet its COP pledge is what a specialist will do. A generalist will work as a coordinating person at times between Ministry of Forest, between Ministry of Renewable Energy, Ministry of Power, to align climate targets with each ministry's portfolio of tasks. A non-policy person could manage a government and a UNDP pilot program on solar microgrids. The first one is a specialist role in a policy field. Generalist is also a policy role. And non-policy also means a person who is in a non-policy organization and doing both generalist and specialist roles. That is the idea of the three categories in this case. If you can move ahead. Similarly, a specialist could Design early childhood curriculum reforms using pedagogical research, ensuring alignment with NEP goals. So they can work in, let's say, NCRT and design specific reform guidelines for early childhood. Because you are an expert in education policy, you understand how pedagogical research works, you understand how curriculum needs to be rolled out. A generalist would do mainly interested coordination and tracking how funds need to be utilized for. You may work also in a non-policy organization, handling a policy role. So non-policy in this case means a non-policy organization in which you can do engagement on teachers training. You can collect classroom level feedback, which can eventually go to the NEP drafting. So we have specialist role in a policy role organization. You have a generalist role in a policy organization, and you can have a non-policy role in an organization which works at the intersection of a policy and a non-policy domain. That's what for education. Let's take one more example, and let's take the example of healthcare. Suppose you are working in Ministry of Health, and you are working there at the time of COVID, or working there for any communicable disease. A policy specialist will use data to model how outbreak patterns happen and how to deploy various resources that the ministry may have. A generalist can take care of the funds, how the flow will happen, how the administrational part of that will happen. And somebody who's not working in a policy organization, but in a policy role, can use this data to troubleshoot operational bottlenecks so that the insights can be rolled back to the policymakers. These are just some quick examples of how careers in these three tracks will look like. Each of us can do it differently, and they may work out also differently. Let's quickly understand how all of this will play out in the program that we call Policy Pioneers Program. As the program design suggests, it's a 4-month hybrid program. As a blended learning or a hybrid program. The part of the program is delivered online. So most sessions will happen on a Saturday evening, in which you would understand the policy side of it. You will understand how different aspects of policy function. 2 weekends, we are requesting all of you to also come in person, especially for the workshop, so that we get the hands-on component and develop good cohesion between your cohort and meet your hands-on partners and meet some very senior people in public policy. The first meetup will happen in third week of September in Delhi, and the final meetup will happen in the third week of January in Mumbai. That's the two locations for the meetup, and the rest of the program is delivered online. That's why it's called hybrid. We are offering this program in partnership with IT Delhi, a public systems lab, which is a very serious lab on public systems research and implementation. They work actively with UN Food Program and Ministry of different relevant ministries of Government of India to do this. Pehla India Foundation, which is a think tank run by the former Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, Rajiv Kumar, is also a knowledge partner. The specializations that we offer this include health, education, sustainability, public systems, and governance. So these are the 4 specializations. You may be working in health policy, education policy, sustainability policy, or public systems and governance. Overall, the program brings in one of the best parts of the program are these two. One, you learn from the faculty who is coming from across the world. This includes people from World Bank, this includes people from Asian Development Bank, this includes people from Yale, this includes people from IITs, IIMs, and so on. You also actively engage with bureaucrats who offer a hands-on project with whom you work on to build this. That's a quick brief on the program. There are some questions on the chat that we wish to respond right now, especially the questions that have come so far. And then we can take ahead. Is that okay, Aswathi?
Yes, Kumar, please go ahead.
So somebody's mentioned what is the seats in each domain. So seats will vary, Subhash. The upper seat limit for each domain is 30. The minimum seat limit for each domain we have not defined. So in each domain, what we wish to have is somewhere around 15 to 30 people in each domain to come in together and understand this domain better. The best part of the program is while you will specialize in one domain, you will have access to content in all 4 domains. So the LMS will be accessible for you in any domain you may register. However, the live sessions will be attended by you for the domain you have registered for. And that's why specializations become very critical for the way the program is designed. Someone has asked which domain is better for work from home. Policy in general is not a very work from home friendly domain. Policy is a domain which requires you to be in the middle of action. You may do work from home for some duration, but in the long run, policy requires you to be actively placed in think tanks, in ministries, in various private players who are engaging with policy, and in institutions where ground level impact is happening while you are looking at a top down change via policy. So policy as a domain is not very suited for work from home. You may choose to do it, and for that, any domain is equally good. However, specializations, because of the nature of the work, is more suited for if you're wanting to sit from a table and work out of it, which can be work from home or work from office. If you're working in public systems, which is the more generalist domain, you may require to do much more listening across government departments than in any other domain. Hope that answers this question, Subhas. Please feel free to ask a follow-up question. Somebody has asked about, can a generalist work as a consultant or knowledge partner of the system to actually strategize the models to implement policies at grassroots? Yes and no, Sakshi. One, the generalist can bring in the expertise of knowing the system, and that is a very important expertise to understand how models need to be implemented at the grassroots. For example, you may be a generalist in policy, but that also means you bring in the understanding of how policy functions, how does a bureaucrat think or how does a politician think, and how file moves, for example, in a ministry or a district collector's office. That knowledge can work, and with that knowledge, you can actually work as a consultant or as a knowledge partner of the system. At the same time, a specialist can also do the same with their expertise in that domain. So, an education policies person, somebody who understands education policy, education financing, models of education policy, understand different models of governance in education, can also do the same. So, this particular role of working as an external internal person, which is basically a consultant or a knowledge partner, can do both roles, depending on whether the priority is education or the system. If the priority is education, you do specialization. If the priority is systemic navigation, Sakshi, you can do work with generalization. Hope that answers your question, Sakshi. Feel free to ask back. Uh, how likely is that a person with this program experience get these careers? Do you provide any support? We provide, we do not provide placement, but we do provide placement support. So what this means, Jyoti, is if you look at the faculty of the program, and we will have a slide ahead of this, the faculty comes from the best institutions of the world. This includes think tanks, academic institutions, government, private players, everybody. When you engage with them, you also get to interact with them directly. So this is a small cohort, 50, 60 people, sometimes only 15 people in a specialization. You engage with these speakers one-on-one as a call. You also engage with these experts in hands-on projects. You also have their emails. You connect with them and you pursue these opportunities. Public policy is a very small space, so you have to pursue these opportunities. However, if you need help in preparing your CV better, if you need to prepare for an interview, if you need access, if you need a letter of recommendation to be written for you, if you need a connection to somebody internally recommend you for some role, we are very happy to do it. India House is a very well networked institution. Ask anybody in public policy and they would know India House. That is the network that you are standing on when you join one of the programs. Jyoti has again asked, what is the value of the course? Will there be any certification? Yes, there will be a certification. Will the certification be affiliated by some recognized body? In India, there is no body to recognize certification. We are understanding education policy. Let's understand this is a policy topic. Certifications don't get recognition. There are degrees, and degrees take 2 years for a master's and 4 years for a bachelor's. Certifications are recognized by the organization themselves, and it's the credibility of the faculty and the people you would work with that will define this. If the skills get built, that's just the core of any certification that you may do. Hope that answers the question, Jyoti. If it does not, please do let us know. Uh, Somebody has asked, how is this course beneficial for a public policy graduate? I will keep this question on hold and do remind me, somebody who has the nickname of iPhone on this call, do remind me and we will be answering this back. This will come up later in the part. Somebody has asked about fee structure, we'll also come to it. Uh, Somebody has mentioned that I am working. Oh, somebody has recognized looking at all of these things, probably, as they have mentioned. Uh, Mr. Khanin, if I'm pronouncing it right, Mr. Barua for sure. So Mr. Barua has recognized that they want to work in sustainability. How do I work at the intersection, working in a non-policy organization and taking a policy role? We'll talk about this once we discuss sustainability curriculum. Can we connect with alumni of the course? This is the first inaugural edition of this, Jyoti. This is the first time we are hosting Policy Pioneers program. However, you can connect with our alumni of other challenges and small courses that you've done. You can also connect with people, anybody from the Vision India Foundation family, as I was a co-founder there, and connect with them to ask about the quality of the programs that we deliver. Somebody has asked, take a scenario. What if one specialization applicant is high? Will this affect the intake of the number of participants? Not right now, Mr. I think that is not affecting our selection criteria at all. However, we do believe that we need to understand specializations better when we make that choice. So while you are in the application form filling about a specialization, there would be again a choice to change that specialization in the second week of the program. Once you have understood what specializations may mean for you. Hope that answers your question, Mr. Then there are some specific questions which we will answer at the end of the program again. So over to you, Aswathi.
Thank you, Kumarji. So we have 4 specializations. You can either specialize in education, health, sustainability, or governance. How we have designed the entire course is policy core, which is your hardcore policy knowledge, some part of it is theory. That would be around 10%. 20% of the program is policy workshops alone. So this is your how do you read a policy document, to how do you pitch a policy to a minister. So all of these are going to be workshops. So that's about 20% of the program. Then you have 25% and 25%, both domain workshops and domain core. So again, some things that can only be taught in theory, that will be a domain core. And then you will have 25% of workshops. About 15% of the program will be common sessions. So these are your systems thinking and behavioral thinking, all of this. 5%, the focus is on careers. So you will be actively speaking with, interacting with people to understand what are the career in public policy and careers in your domain. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, how do you go about it? So all of this will be covered 5% of the course. So throughout the program, how we have designed it is almost 45 of the program is going to be shared across. So some of these sessions you will go through together. The rest, 55%, is your domain specific. So all of the health people, education, sustainability, and governance will be in separate tracks. So these are some of the shared curriculum components. You'll have policy reading, policy analysis, stakeholder mapping, data analytics and research in your domain, policy communication, systems thinking, behavioral insights. In these parts, what we've tried to do is some of these have 2 sessions each. So the first session would be shared across the tracks. And then the second session in each of these shared components will be specific to your domain. So the case that you're working on or the workshop that you're going through will be very domain specific.
Just to go back on the slide, just to add to what Aswathi mentioned, some of these are codely built. Again, if you go back and remember what we have discussed about the attributes of a policy pioneer, they connect back to those attributes. Any policy pioneer must understand how to communicate a policy. When you're pitching an idea to a bureaucrat, and the bureaucrat has just 20 seconds of attention, what to say and what not to say. When you're working in, let's say, working with a minister, you understand a minister's schedule is so busy, probably he will have attention span of less than few minutes. What to say. When you're working, let's say, in the field of healthcare, which are the stakeholders you need to connect with? Does it include hospitals? Does it include medical associations? Does it include, let's say, pharma lobby? Does it include patients? Who all does it mean? What we've also realized by engaging with people offering a master's degree, people with a master's degree in policy, that despite a master's, sometimes we have never read a policy document end to end. And national education policy is a 155-page document. How do I read a 155-page document and understand what is the nuance in that policy? How to read it fast, how to make more sense of it. All of this becomes core to the shared curriculum. And that is the innovation we are bringing in by bringing it very, very application centric. How do you at core specialize in policy? That is the idea of the shared curriculum. Over to you.
Then comes your specialization part. So in education, you will cover everything from what is the concept of education? What are the ends it should strive towards? What are the different perspectives of education, both in India and abroad? So all of these are going to be discussion sessions. So from what is education to what are the different, how has education policies evolved in India to the current NEP, to what is the regulatory environment like for schools to run? And what is the governance architecture in education? Like who reports to whom? How does the power flow? All of these two currently house education financing done. What are some projects in India and in different states that you should know about? Why some failed? Why some worked? What are the lessons that were carried forward? And what are the current technology trends in education? How is edtech being used? What is the idea of digital divide and scale? How are these being addressed in the domain? So all of this will be covered in your education part of it. So what we are trying to do is also that everybody who goes through the education specialization can go out and exactly understand how the domain works. Not just a very theoretical understanding of, oh, this is how it works. So something that Kumarji and I were speaking a couple of weeks back was how when you're speaking to a bureaucrat, their PS, personal secretary, becomes more important to get things done. So, very ground level, how does it actually happen? How does it actually work is what we want to try and give through the program. In health, again, from health to what is the current transition that India is going through with different, the increase in population, the demography, the division of diseases, all of these. What is the transition India is going through? What are some policies that you need to know about? What are some health regulations that are there that hospitals need to abide to, the doctors need to abide to? How does governance architecture work? How is health financing done in India? And what are some lessons that we can learn from Asia in general that we can adapt? How is health monitoring and assessment done? So all of these are being taken by experts who are actually working in these domains. So health monitoring and assessment is being taken by Sudha Chandrasekhar, who is a senior consultant at World Bank, and her work is actually health monitoring and assessment. So she's going to walk you through what her almost 2 decades of work has been about, and what works, what doesn't work, what are the roadblocks she has actually faced in her journey. So the entire program is very practitioner led. So when it comes to globalization of health, we have health policy advocate KM Kumar, who works with a South Asian think tank called Third World Network. So what they work in is they are pushing for third world countries' agendas and requirements and needs at the global stage. So we have Gopan sir coming in to take you through the globalization of health part. Similarly, and what are the technology trends and challenges in health as a domain? Then comes sustainability. Again, what is the idea of sustainability, the idea of circular economy, all the keywords that you need to know, as well as how is geopolitics affecting the domain? What are the macroeconomics of it? How is sustainability affecting your day-to-day life, or the lack of it for that matter? What are some major policies and initiatives that India has taken? How is climate financing done? What are some market and policy approaches to reducing carbon footprint? What is sustainability standards and reporting? How is it done? Why is it important? All of these will be taken through in the sustainability curriculum. Governance is more generic in sense that you will be going through the idea of what is governance, what are public systems, how do they work, what is the executive, how do they function, how does an idea go from becoming an idea to a legislation, what is an entire process, who all are involved, what happens, what does not happen. And then you move on to macroeconomics for governance. What are the things that you need to know? That will be taken by Satish Deodharji. He is the dean at IIM Ahmedabad. And he has been very actively trying to make day-to-day economics easier for us. In fact, you should check out his book, Day-to-Day Economics. So he'll be coming in to teach you macroeconomics for governance. And then some major policies that you need to know about. How is technology being leveraged currently in governance? What more can be done? What more can we take from other countries? So all of these you'll be going through in governance. So these are our faculty. You can check out our webpage for exactly who they are, what they're doing. They come from all of these organizations that you see to the left of the screen. So we have Gopan sir, we have Sudhaji from World Bank, we have Dineshji from ADB, we have Balu sir from Capacity Building Commission. And we have Sanjay ji, who was behind India's COVID vaccine trials. He was a principal investigator. So he's going to come in the health specialization to take you through what actually happened before the COVID vaccine was there and all of us got inoculated. So these are our faculty. You should check them out on our website. This is broadly how the program is going to flow. So there's going to be a curriculum track, which I just ran you through. So the first term, the focus is on understanding the system, understanding your domain, how it works, and building the foundation of public policy. Everything from policy reading to how do you communicate a policy. In the second term, you will be diving deeper into your domain. So here the focus is on understanding your domain in terms of the governance architecture, in terms of the keywords, in terms of the challenges, in terms of the technology, how it can be leveraged, so on and so forth. In the third term is your intersection between policy and domain. So here is where your systems thinking comes in. Here is where your behavioral insights comes in. How these are being currently leveraged, how these can be leveraged more, and how you can use them using different models. So you will be taken through case sheets in each of these sessions. In the last term, the focus is on identifying how you can contribute to the field. So here the focus is on building skills. So how do you negotiate? How do you engage with stakeholders? But also, what are the current career pathways in public policy as in general? And very domain specific as well. So also, if you want to, just like I mentioned in the beginning, if you want to have a startup of your own in your chosen domain, how do you go about it? So you'll have entrepreneurs in your domain coming in to talk with you about how they did it, what their journey was, and what you should probably keep in mind. So this will be the 4 terms. And parallel to the term is where your hands-on projects come in. So Kumarji, would you like to take it from here?
Sure. So these are the two learning tracks, as we mentioned. One is how you learn from experts who have done it by when they extract their experiences into your sessions and your courses. And two, when you work actively with them, in which in the first term you understand the project, you understand, do a background work of it, you meet with some experts in this. Suppose you're working on a school education project with a director of education in a state government. In the first term, in your hands-on project, you discover what needs to be done, you discover the contours of it, you discuss what is yes and what is no in that. In the second and third term, you actually design the final solution and get feedback on it. And in the final term, you build in the required nuts and bolts of how this will be delivered for them and build that model and finally submit it to the bureaucrat. None of these are vanity projects. All of these are real world projects that have a real world implication. The purpose of engaging this is that we know what it takes to deliver a public policy challenge. That is the idea for hands-on project. Parallel to the entire curriculum is also the hands-on project of part of the curriculum. If you can go to the next slide, we'll quickly learn about how each part of the curriculum actually flows, where we engage with these bureaucrats in the program. You engage with somebody who was the person who has led to your personal family land getting digitized. If you know, in the last few years, India has digitized land. In up to 80% of land has been digitized in India. All of that was led by a bureaucrat from Karnataka, Kaider Kaur Rajivji. He is now the person also in charge of ensuring all of the farmers in India have a unique ID. You also engage with Jayesh Ranjanji, who is the person who ensured that Telangana features in the top 5 states of ease of doing business in the last multiple iterations of ease of doing business index. He is the special chief secretary of Telangana and leads the business side of it. We have somebody from Telangana again, IAS officer Jitesh Patilji, and we have somebody from Rajasthan as IAS Atul Prakash. We also have somebody who's retired and known for his stories of and his anecdotes of how he has fought the system by being inside the system as Ashok Khemkaji. And you also have a senior professor from IIT Delhi who is working with Minister of Railways as advisor. There's somebody from Government of Education, as we have somebody very senior IAS officer called Anshul Mishra. These are some people who are offering these hands-on projects with you. And there would be approximately 20 such people. We have mentioned 8 of them here. Each of you will be allocated a project. You will work in teams of 4 or 5 and deliver that in the period of 3 months in the program. If you can go to the next slide. This is the entire idea of Policy Pioneers program, and how do we see all of these specializing in domain. Then there are a lot of questions that are already asked. We'll go through the questions once, and happy to take more. Both people on YouTube Live and people who are on this chat. Feel free to ask your questions. We will definitely respond to each and every question today, however much be the number of questions. We will respond, and if you want to ask a follow-up question, feel free to ask that as well. That is what we are here for today. So I will begin from the top again, going back to the top. Some questions were unanswered in the beginning. Somebody has asked, how is this course beneficial for a public policy graduate? Aswathi is a public policy graduate, and Aswathi did her master's in public policy. She's a postgraduate in public policy. Aswathi, would you like to answer this? How this course will be beneficial for public policy graduate?
Sorry, I didn't catch the name. But I think one thing that I struggled with, and both as a postgraduate as well as somebody who's hiring currently, is that what the sector requires and the kind of talent that's coming in. There's a gap, and this includes people who have a master's in public policy. So what I'm trying to say is, despite having a master's in public policy, what happens is once you start working, you realize a lot of the things that are actually required. Just like we were saying in the beginning, how do you look at a 150-page document and find out things that you actually need to know? Because I don't think most of us have the time to go cover to cover through a 150-page document, and more in many cases. So these are what you'll be gaining. So if you've already studied about it, I mean, you've already done it, you've already gone through policy documents in your master's, then probably you have some of it. So this is just one example of what we're trying to do in the Policy Pioneers program. And same case with policy communication. So somebody who's coming in to take you through how to communicate a policy to ministers and secretaries is somebody who's actually been working with different state governments in India and who's been quite successful. In fact, Raviji from Pele India will be coming in to take you through policy communication. You can check out his profile, what he's done so far. So you'll get an idea. So these are the things that you'll be taking away after the program. And also, one thing that I struggled with post my master's is that there was no career guidance whatsoever. I mean, for me, it was just about doing multiple internships. I didn't know what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to be a generalist, whether I wanted to be a specialist. So this program, whatever you're choosing, is going to give you that clarity. And how to go about it if you don't want to be associated with organization and want to start something of your own as well. In fact, that's what we are looking for. We do want people who come up with their own enterprises. So yeah, I hope that answers.
So this is like a finishing school or a boot camp to enable you to actually take action. Most of the master's program in India, and there are approximately 8 of them right now, 8 to 10 of them right now. Sorry, 11 of them right now. All of this master's curriculum, we engaged with the faculty with them. Some of them we engage with directly as the program design itself. Some of them we engage with the faculty. Some of them are team members here at India House. What we do realize is most of the program that we are currently teaching is theoretical. As Masters of Public Policy, often don't know whom does a DM report to, or whom does the school principal report to in the education system. Or suppose the district hospital needs new medicines, who is the person who will approve that? The very basic ideas of architecture of governance, or even the technical side of it in terms of specialization. We don't have an education policy program right now in India at all. Policy Pioneers program is the only policy program which offers specialization in education policy. Even in the programs that are there in healthcare or sustainability, these are not policy programs per se. Policy is a small component of them. So what we're doing is truly new. If you are interested in this, purely look at the curriculum that you have studied and the curriculum that Policy Pioneers offers. That's what will be a good guiding light for you. Somebody has talked about the fee structure. Aditya has asked about the fee structure of the program. In terms of the fee structure, the program is priced at 59,000 rupees plus taxes as the program fee. However, as the inaugural edition, we have raised enough scholarships to provide and ensure that anybody who needs the financial assistance to do this program do get the financial assistance it deserves. This can range from 10% minimum to up to 90% of the scholarship program can be given as scholarships. So feel free to request for a scholarship. There would be a scholarship. There is a separate process for a scholarship that happens once you are selected for the program. So once you are selected, that is primary criteria. Then you would be filling up a form. The short form will help us assess what is the merit, what is the means of this person, and that helps us allocate a scholarship. That is the process that we follow for the scholarship. Feel free to apply for a scholarship. The first in organization, we really want to build a great cohort. And happy to announce that we already have the first cohort, part of the first cohort ready. And possibly by tomorrow evening or day after tomorrow morning, the first cohort will also be live on the Policy Pioneers website. So do check that out. Somebody has, I hope that answers the question, Aditya. And somebody who had earlier asked the question about the program. Sakshi asked that I have a graduation degree in rural studies, has done PGDPL, I suppose it's postgraduate diploma in public leadership from Rishihood. Uh, and I have worked as a Gandhi Fellow. Happy to see you doing PGDPL and Policy Bootcamp. These are both programs that I had the fortune of designing or leading parts of it as part of the India Foundation journey. Uh, one, education and sustainability are two separate domains, which both require very different specializations. So, one, you may choose one specialization to be a primary specialization in the program, and you can attend the remaining sessions as recorded sessions for sure, or interact with the team as well for that. Uh, Two, it will help you understand what the domain, what the policy of that domain looks like. For example, if you have done policy bootcamp, you have a cursory understanding of what the policy world is. We have attended a series of 15 into 3, 45 lectures on policy, all of them as individual dots in this. The program will help you connect these dots, is what it will take ahead from Policy Bootcamp. Policy Bootcamp places right dots. When you interact with Lieutenant Colonel of the Army, when you interact with Shamika Ravi, when you interact with somebody, you have to place the right dots. How to see the picture from these dots is what the Policy Pioneers program will help you with. I hope that answers your question. Uh, Somebody has asked, Akib Khan has asked, the program is hybrid mode, and because we are based in Patna and working full time, these programs, the in-person sessions that the program offers, will be organized on a weekend. They will be organized on a Saturday and Sunday, and will add one day of the week. Most of this program, I think, Aswathi, correct me, both the weekend sessions are organized on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that correct? Yes. So the in-person sessions will be organized on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That ensures that even working professionals can attend with one day of leave. They can attend the 3 days. These are in-person sessions that we are organizing in-person sessions so that the workshops which are difficult to deliver in an online mode can be delivered, and you can engage freely with your colleagues. Uh, there is no frequent travel. They're only organized twice, once in the third week of September and once in the third week of January. There are only two in-person weekends. Everything else is delivered digitally. They would have a score in the overall program in terms of attendance, and that will count towards the program. So they are highly recommended to attend these in-person meetings as well. Somebody has asked about the program timeline. The application window is open till 17th of August, which is 2 days from now. There are 1,500 plus signups right now, and we are looking for more to select the right people and build an amazing first cohort to have great colleagues for you. Uh, then somebody has asked about fourth year student at an integrated MA at IIT Madras. You want to improve your exposure to sustainability and link it to policy. Definitely do apply. The program is built for working professionals, but we are taking final year students as you would be working professionals soon. There is a recorded session. Somebody has asked. We have responded it. Hope I answered your question, Dhwani. Feel free to ask back if you need any follow-up question. Somebody has asked PG diploma in public policy and governance by TIS. I have hired from TIS, and the program is great. However, the program, we do believe this program will differ highly from it. One simple way to do it is take the curriculum of this program. The brochure can be downloaded from the website and map it to the program that we're talking about. And ChatGPT will give you a great response for it. That's part one. That's the GPT way of doing it. If you want to do it on your own, map the curriculum. Map which elements of that curriculum and this curriculum map up. Understand what is needed to survive in the policy domain, and you will see the difference. That's something that you can do on your own. That's a quick experiment. It will hardly take a few minutes and do it on your own. That's the short answer. The long answer to this, that this program offers you an understanding of how system works and not the theory of it. There is a value in theory. However, we do believe skills and the application centricity will matter more. And that's why Policy Pioneers is highly application centric to respond to that. Hope I answered your question. This is somebody with a name called MyPC on the chat. Somebody who wants to know that I have a grassroots experience in education, I want to step up in the domain of sustainability. Definitely. So by step up, you may mean career step up, it may mean skill step up, it may mean knowledge step up. I believe the program will provide you an avenue to do that. Once you understand, for example, how climate finance works, once you understand how carbon credits function, once you understand how ESG functions, you are building your own expertise in the domain of sustainability policy. And that does hold value because these are all skills that people who are in the industry now are looking for. Somebody has asked, yes, somebody has asked, uh, the program offers some stipend. No, the program does not offer a stipend. In fact, the program comes with a cost. It's a educational program. We request all of you to sponsor your education. And the program requires a cost of the program. The program is highly subsidized. There are scholarships available, but the program does not offer uh, a stipend. Somebody has asked, the education is in youth education and livelihoods, but you want to choose a specialization as sustainability. Our general understanding, Akib, is that sustainability offers a different lens to look at the policy world. However, sustainability is also for those who believe that there is a domain in which they have a higher focus. It's almost as if I'm quoting Animal Farm and saying some domains, some specializations are more equal than others. Uh, a specialization is for that. Uh, if you believe sustainability is a passion that you want to pursue in your life and career, we would suggest you to choose specialization as sustainability. Otherwise, you want to continue in education or public systems, you go ahead. If I wish to be a journalist, you should choose the specialization called public systems and governance. That's a great generalist way of looking at the policy system. Public systems and governance is the generalist way of looking at policy as a whole. Somebody who is asking about, can senior citizens also join this? Uh, the program is for people who are young at heart. Uh, 90% of the cohort will be between 21 to 45 years of age. We do have two members right now who are beyond these limits, both two below this and two above this in the selected and cohort which are finalized. So we do take in people. However, the primary audience remains young. For anybody who is a senior citizen and wants to join this, one, the selection process will be a little tougher for you. One, because you will have to ensure that the interviewers whom you would interview with, the list of interviewers is also out on our social media. Do have a look on our LinkedIn or Instagram. You would have to convince them that why this passion is there in you and why do you wish to take this forward. Number two, you will work with people who are much lesser in age than you. Uh, ensure that you are able to rise up or fall down. Rise up in terms of energy or fall down in terms of their levels of understanding of the world and offer that value to them. Policy Pioneers program is program built for people who will be pioneers in this domain. If you have it in them, we're happy to have such people. This is the response to our question by Ashok. I will quickly rush to the most recent questions and respond to them, and then again go back to questions number two. We have around 20 minutes, so feel free to drop your questions in there. Jyoti has asked, what is the criteria for scholarship? The scholarship has two criteria, merit and means. So one, in the interview, you would get an interview score. These are primarily interview done by external and some interview team members. That provides us the understanding of your merit. Number two, there is a means need as well, which is the means part or the needs part of it. We would float a small form in which we will check with you how do you define your own need, and some team member will also call to verify the details with you. Once that is done, that's how the scholarships get allocated. It's a combination of merit and means. Uh, the program is 4 months. We've already answered to that. Uh, Somebody has asked about, will we get an individual counseling as to understand which domain would be the best? As we mentioned, the domain choice will be frozen only in the second week of the program. Right now, we are at 15th of August. We are hoping to finalize the cohort by the end of next week. By that time, once the cohort gets finalized, we will be sitting with you to understand which domain will be best fit for your duty. The program choice will happen only in the second week of the program. Somebody have asked about, I have received 50% scholarship or some scholarship. Can I get 90% now? If you were in the top 5% of the candidates who were interviewed, you may get 90% scholarship. Otherwise, 50% is a very high scholarship. You may choose to request for more. That will completely depend on how your interview was done. That will define your merit. That will also depend on how we can justify your means part of it. Because the scholarships are coming in from a collective pool of finances that we have raised via philanthropic contributions by people who trust India House and the kind of people who will come out of it. This entire thing comes from their hard-earned money, who believe in all of your capability to build us a better place. Any scholarship that we take takes the money out of this common pool. Any scholarship that we don't take adds value to this pool so that we can offer scholarship to really people who need it. If you believe it helps your cause, do feel free to mail us, and we'll be happy to have a look at it. That's, I suppose, all the questions that have come. There are some new questions. Oh, yes, 5 new questions. Okay. Somebody has asked about assessment and evaluation pattern. Aswathi, would you like to respond to it? This is a question by Dhwani at 2039.
Dhwani, your assessment is going to be done on 4 factors. One definitely is how you are performing in your last product of your hands-on project, but also your the second component of it is your engagement with your peers, as well as your engagement with the experts who are coming in to take the sessions. So your class participation, basically. So that becomes 2 parts of your assessment. And the third part is in every 2 weeks, you're going to get an assignment. And most of these will require you to do something rather than write something in present. So that would become the fourth part of your assessment. So fifth one, in fact, third part of your assessment. The fourth one is your attendance. So we have divided some part of the attendance for the in-person sessions and some part for the virtual sessions. All of these you'll be getting in your brochure as well. So your attendance is also part of your assessment. So in that sense, 4 parts of it: your hands-on project, your class participation, as well as your peer engagement, your assignments, whatever you will be given post your sessions, as well as your attendance. So yeah.
Thank you. Hope that answers your question, Dhwani. Feel free to ask any follow-up questions. Somebody has asked about important points to crack the interview. There are just 3 golden rules of cracking any interview. One, ensure you have read about a bit about possible interviewers for you. That's a link that has already been shared. That's also shared about on Instagram and LinkedIn handles of India House. Number 2, a good golden rule to keep in mind in an interview is to be as honest as possible. We are not looking for people who are experts to join in for policy pioneers, but we are looking for people who can exhibit honesty and practice honesty in their daily life. The whole reason why why we need a policy pioneers program 79th year of independence is because we've had too many dishonest experiences in policy. We're hoping all of us to do better in it. So to be do good in a policy pioneers interview, let's be as honest as possible. And number 3, overall the entire domain of public policy is driven by a lot of curiosity. If you are curious in a policy domain, it means that you are able to ask the right questions, be able to think in the right directions. That is a key skill of being in policy. If you're able to really match different skills needed in the policy domain, do exhibit that in your responses and in your interaction with the policy interviewers. Hope that answers your question. This was from Mohammed Azhar. Somebody has asked about what will be the course of learning in the offline camp. So a lot of workshops will be delivered in the offline camp, Ayush. Also, a lot of engagement with experts will be organized in the offline camp. So for example, in the final offline camp, we are hoping to bring in approximately 10 to 20 policy experts who are plus 5 to 10 years of us, of the average of the cohort. to meet us in one evening. They would be heads of think tanks, they would be heads of policy institutions, they would be OSDs to the chief ministers and ministers. They would be people in the policy world, in the corporate world, people who are heading policy teams in different corporates. We would want you all to meet them when we meet together in Mumbai. And when we do the first meetup, so all of us want to come together when we do the workshops. For example, when you are doing a policy analysis, it does work much better if you are engaging with each other in person. As a real world policy analysis exercise not looking. You also want the experts to come in and deliver these sessions to you when you are meeting in person. Also, to get a jump start on your hands-on projects, probably meet with the bureaucrat, probably engage with them, probably work together and decide the contours of the project. That is the idea behind the offline camp. Hope I answer your question, Ayush. Anushka has asked how many days will be the offline camps. These will be 3 days each, once in the third week of September and once in the third week of January. Two meetups, 3 days each, Delhi and Mumbai. Hope I answered your question, Anushka. Some people have thanked us for patience. Patience is an important skill. As a policy professional, we just mentioned about an attributes of policy pioneers. Aswathi, if you can just open that slide on the screen on attributes of policy pioneers, I think that will be a great way to understand what are we trying to build. Uh, then we have a question about placement assistance. There is a placement assistance I use in three forms. One, as experts, you would be meeting a lot of experts. As you can put the slide on our experts and the domains and backgrounds they come from. Number two, you would be meeting them also otherwise because there are exclusive focus on the program on careers. So you'd be meeting at least 50 to 20 policy professionals from various domains who would come and interact with you. This will offer you a way to engage with different institutions working in policy. So we get slide on faculty piece. And number three, we would be personally be helping you out in terms of one-on-one guidance. At times, in terms of helping you out with your CV reviewing, with your LOR, or helping out get internal references in these organizations. This is the current pool of faculty. Faculty comes from these institutions. If you can see, we have IIT, IIM. In other institutions of India, we also have somebody from FMS, Delhi, somebody from AIMS, Delhi, and so on and so forth. We also have somebody from IIM Ahmedabad. Uh, Internationally, we have somebody from Yale. We have somebody from UN Environment Program. We have somebody from ADB and World Bank. In terms of think tanks, we have somebody from Third World Network and Thailand India Foundation. We also have experts from the industry, including Mahindra and Equivia and so on and so forth. Uh, and European Energy. These are some people. The names of those are available in the chat as well as on the website. Uh, these offline camps, when they're organized, they will be organized at the expense of India House in terms of their venue, in terms of the lunch during the venue, in terms of the speakers coming in. The accommodation and the travel has to be arranged by the participants. We may suggest some places, but you can choose to stay in your family places or at places of your own choice. And also the accommodation and travel has to be self-arranged. The camp venue and the when you are with us from morning 9 to evening 6, that part we will take care for the program. That I suppose answers all of the questions. Uh, any other questions that you may have, we have the next 2 minutes. Else we'll close the call in the next 4 minutes. So whatever questions comes up in the next 4 minutes, happy to take them in. For Ashokji's question, Aswathi, can you open the slide with reflections? The 4 questions of reflection. Thank you. Yes. So Ashok, these are some good questions to understand the choice between specialization or generalist, being a specialist or a generalist. One, for example, I prefer to be a generalist, and Aswathi aspires to be a specialist. That's one level of differentiation we have within our team. I am very comfortable operating with a broad knowledge from many fields, and I enjoy doing that. Aswathi enjoys going deep into one field and understand that in much deeper detail. I get energy from exploring many topics. Some people connect with people who go and master one of them. Some people enjoy the variety of policy and switching context as we come across a situation. Some people prefer a long and sustained focus. Some people want to influence the big picture strategy. And some people want to go deep into solving one domain and one complex problem or few complex problems of that domain. These questions will help you understand whether you want to be a specialist or a generalist. That is the broad idea. Our understanding is people become specialists at as early as 30, as early as 50 or 55 or 70. I've known people who have become experts only at the age of 60 or 70. I've known people who have regarded themselves as experts even at the age of 25. It completely depends on you. That is the answer to your question, Shuk. Hope I answered your question. You may become a domain specialist because you understand that domain. Will you be called a domain specialist? Depends on what you practice after you have done the course. Course provides you an exposure and gives you a contour of that domain. It does not make you an expert. No course can make anybody an expert. Expertise is earned after years of work. This program will offer you an entryway or a segue into this domain. And that's the program role in your life. The hard work of that has to be done by each of us to build it. Somebody has asked, when he has asked, are participants allowed to connect with alumni of the Policy Pioneers program? So, Policy Pioneers program, this is the inaugural batch. However, once you become a part of the program, you will be added to a bigger community of policy professionals that we call Bharat Mandala, which is a network of 1,500 people who are working in public policy or allied domains like non-profits or think tanks or research institutions or academia or serving in the government. You would engage with them. One, independently, as you would be part of the groups, you would be part of the dashboard, you would be part of the directory, and you can see and connect with them. Also, because they would be coming and talking to you. If you look at all the experts that are taking the interviews, they are people who have benefited from a similar program uh, in the similar domain. That can help understand your idea of this doing this better. I think that is all the questions that we have right now. If there are any follow-ups to this, we are happy to take one or two more questions. But with this, we have answered all the questions that have come so far today, both on YouTube and on the Zoom link. Uh, Thank you all for joining in on Independence Day Eve. A very, very important day today for three occasions. One, today we are also celebrating the birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, a major freedom fighter and a spiritual leader who continues to guide a lot of us today. And I just like to end with one quote of his, in which he talked about education and his work around education and the way he has structured his own life is something that we pursue and is something that we really look forward to at India House and as the ecosystem. And his work around education was so fundamental that has guided large part of the national education policy, in which one of his quotes, when he mentioned that education is the manifestation of perfection already in you, in which he talks about that every knowledge that is possible, the idea of perfection is already in all of us. Education is the way it just manifests. We do believe in it that the tools of required, the idea required for public service is the idea of service, and that is the most fundamental of doing a work in public policy. The idea that I want to serve a larger purpose is fundamental to policy. What we are trying to do via the program is just uncover what may have been covered so far by years of work. Tools are one part of that uncovering. Skills is one part of uncovering. Networks is one part of uncovering. And we do believe all of this is already in each of us. What we're doing is just uncovering those sections of our mind and heart that have carrying this knowledge from the years of human civilization that we have seen, from the years of knowledge that we have acquired as humans. Let's uncover that together in Policy Pioneers program. Thank you all for joining in. Signing off.